Good afternoon and welcome to King's Newsroom, a 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. Today is Thursday, August 7, 2025, and I'm Newton Tokar presenting. Stories we following this afternoon. Office of the Ombudsman recommends dismissal of LPRC Managing Director NPA Board Chairman Luther Tape and 24 others for violating multiple provisions of the National Code of Conduct. Liberia National Police arrests University of Liberia Graduate School Coordinator Fulbert Emery Johnson on reported false armed robbery claims at EcoBank headquarters. Criminal Code 8 says Thursday to hear 6 Capitol building as a suspect release request from Monrovia Central Prison. And away from Liberia, Ghana's ministers of defense and environment have died in a military helicopter crash in the central Ashanti region, along with 6 other people, the government spokesperson says. Uganda has said it would accept up to 250 migrants from the U.S. in a deal agreed with President Donald Trump's administration. These plus the news bulletin, our international developments are all packaged, but we'll take a very short break. I'll be right back. At this juncture, we cross over to Veronica Moba with the news bulletin.
The Office of the Ombudsman has recommended the names of 26 government officials to President Joseph Boakai for immediate dismissal for allegedly violating multiple provisions of the National Code of Conduct. These recommended for dismissal include Unity Party National Chair Luther Tape, who served as National Port Authority Board Chairman, Labour Minister Corporal Kra, LPRC Managing Director Amos Twain, Colonial Council at the Liberia Special Economic Zone. Others are Emmanuel Tule, Board Chair of Liberia Electricity Corporation, Colonial Kra, Deputy Minister of State, Emmanuel Conrad Fa, National Fire Service, among others. According to the Office of the Ombudsman, these officials have breached Section 5.1 A, B, C, and 5.8 of the Code, which prohibits presidential appointees from engaging in political activities, campaigning for elected office, and using government resources for partisan purposes. Following the Ombudsman recommendation, several organizations and political pundits have begun calling on President Boakai to act swiftly and dismiss the named officials. In upholding the integrity of the Code of Conduct, as it has sparked intense public debate, the Code of Conduct serves as an ethical standard and professional frame for all public sector institutions, including education, healthcare, and public service. EcoBank Liberia Limited has expressed regrets over what it described as an alleged armed robbery attack on its headquarters on 11th Street, Sinker Inn. In a statement issued Wednesday, the bank claimed that the suspect entered its private banking lodge with arms and attempted robbing the teller of the lodge. The bank authority emphasized that the gravity and impact of the incident to its customers, and the public noted that they are working with local law enforcement agency to ensure a thorough and comprehensive investigation into the matter. The bank, through the release, acknowledged the intensity of the situation, but added that it has taken immediate steps to enhance security at branches across the country. Meanwhile, the release further quoted that the bank authority are saying that its operation continue uninterrupted across all branches and digital channels and urge the customer to continue their transactional activities. Meanwhile, King's FM independent investigation has established that Fulbert Emery Johnson, the man earlier arrested at EcoBank 11th Street Single for alleged armed robbery, was arrested on false alarm Earlier on Wednesday, the Liberia National Police confirmed the arrest of Johnson, stating that he was taken into custody following accusations that he attempted to rob the EcoBank head office on 11th Street. Johnson, who served as UL's graduating school coordinator, is said to have been in romantic relationship with a female employee at the EcoBank branch, but have been facing issues in the relationship, prompting him to go to the bank to confront the lady. Our sources, including some workers of the bank, admitted to the romantic relationship between Johnson and the lady, who alarmed that he attempted robbing the bank. Kings FM also established that the woman was separately involved in an extramarital relationship, which the suspect have reportedly warned her to end due to their intimacy nature to their own relationship. They added that tension reportedly escalated after the woman began posting photos on social media with another man despite their relationship. The investigation further established that the suspect, out of frustration, went to the bank to confront the woman and allegedly released tear gas in her direction. The sources maintain that the lady reportedly activated the bank's emergency alarm, prompting an immediate response from the bank's authority, terming it as an attempt armed robbery. However, the Liberian National Police has not released additional information regarding the incident as of press time. Criminal Code A announced Thursday, August 7, 2025, to hear six Capitol building suspects request to release them from the Monrovia Central Prison on bail. Judge Roosevelt Woolley noticed that the party's lawyer, according to our judicial correspondent, was triggered by Monserrado County Chief Prosecutor Councilor Rachel Scott's application challenging to legal significance of the defendant's bond preferred to the court and later claimed that they are flight risks. Judge Woolley noted that notice further demands that the lawyers appeared in court on Thursday, August 7 at 2 p.m. for the hearing. Our judicial correspondent said that through Judge Woolley's approved to six defendant bond, but prosecuting lawyers claim that the bond is insufficient and the defense at flat rates led Judge Woolley placing a stop on the defendant's release until the matter can be heard in that's determined by the court. The defendant in question are Christine Kofa, John Yanti, Eric Sisse, Thomas Axie, Stephen Brough, and Thomas Etheridge. UNICEF Liberia, in partnership with the Ministry of Health, is initiating plan with the House of Representative Legislative Committee on Health to establish a primary that's Health Legislative Caucus. Their initiative, if approved, will strengthen Liberia's primary health programs. According to a statement released by the UNICEF Liberia Wednesday, the plan seeks to appoint a national community health campaign to strengthen domestic funding and political will of the country's health initiative. UNICEF Liberia emphasized Liberia primary health program, adding that it is a lifeline for thousands of families in remote and unserved areas where access to health care remains a daily struggle. At the same time, UNICEF Liberia and partners stressed the urgent need for the establishment of the body by the legislature to advance the Monrovia Call to Action Health Initiative, among other things. About 12 prosecuting lawyers are reportedly planning to boycott the pending August term of court due to the failure of the Ministry of Justice to upgrade their salaries since becoming Counselor at Law of the Supreme Court bar. The aggrieved prosecutor Thursday said that since becoming Counselor in 2022, they are still receiving their attorney at law salaries of 6 to 700 United States dollars from the ministry, which according to them goes contrary to the policy of the ministry. The lawyers, according to our judicial correspondent, claimed that the policy required that Counselor at Law of the Supreme Court shall make nothing less than 2,500 Liberian dollars. Aggrieved prosecutors maintained that the policy needs to be enforced. As such, they remain unbending in connection to the pending boycott action for the August term of body until the matter is addressed. Counselor of the ministry are currently making 2,500 United States dollars, while attorneys are getting 6 to 700 United States dollars as salaries. A Liberian prophetess, Mary Johnson, says she has a revelation where Liberia appeared very dark and surrounded by a flame of fire. According to her, alarming mysterious killing, disappearances, and political power struggle experienced across the country are not good signs. She added that these things could serve as key factors that are leading the country in serious danger. Prophetess Mary Johnson, however, called on Liberians to begin a 3-day fast and prayer beginning from August 13 to the 15th to pray against bloodshed. The political leader of the opposition movement for progressive change, Simeon Freeman, has criticized the government of Liberia of alleged mismanagement of the country's resources. Appearance on OKFM Wednesday, Freeman called on the government to invest in the country's local economy, urging reforms to strengthen local industry and infrastructure. Speaking on the Liberia traffic management recent issue, the NPC political leader further criticized the government's handling of lesson plates and driver lessons to foreign company as waste of money. The Student Unification Party of the University of Liberia has vowed to oppose the arrest of LENSU President James Washington and Secretary Darius Towe in connection to four UL student refusal to appear in court for criminal prosecution. It can be recalled Judge Roosevelt Woody of Criminal Code A told newsmen about the possible arrest of the two student leaders due to the alleged refusal to surrender the four students of the SOUP who were indicted by grand jury of Monserrado County in connection to March 18, 2025 incident at the Liberia Football Association. However, speaking to reporters at UL main campus, SU President Sylvester Widow said any attempt by the Liberia National Police would be met by serious resistance by the student community. And former Representative Kennedy of Monserrado County District 16, Archie Sano, has strongly criticized the Bwaka-led government for what he termed as persistent bad governance and corrupt practices. Speaking in an interview Wednesday, Sano said he is frustrated with the state of governance, fronting at what he described as perpetual corruption under the Unity Party Alliance government. According to him, to ensure real change itself in Liberia, Liberians, beginning with government officials, must reject corruption and the idea that votes must be brought to gain political power. The former District 16 Representative Kennedy also called on the government to crack down the drug trafficking, accused some public officials of allowing their personal vehicles to be used to smuggle drugs in the country. That's it, Newton, for the news bulletin. It's back to you.
Veronica Moba there with the news bulletin. The news bulletin is a regular feature here on King's Newsroom. What if you just joined us? A reminder you listen to King's Newsroom, a 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. Today is Thursday, August 7, 2025, and I'm Newton to be presenting stories the following this afternoon. The Office of the Ombudsman recommends dismissal of LPRC Managing Director, National Port Authority Board Chairman Luto Tape and 24 others for violating multiple provisions of the National Code of Conduct. Liberia National Police arrests University of Liberia Graduate School Coordinator Phobit Emery Johnson on reported false armed robbery claims at EcoBank headquarters. Criminal Court A says Thursday to hear six Capitol building arson suspects release request from Monrovia Central Prison. And away from Liberia, Ghana's ministers of defense and environment have died in a military helicopter crash in the central Ashanti region, along with six other people, the government spokesperson says. Rwanda said it would accept up to 250 migrants from the U.S. in a deal agreed with President Donald Trump's administration. We'll take another break and we'll come back. We'll bring you the voices of the newsmakers. On our first development here this afternoon, the political leader of the opposition movement for progressive change, Sima Freeman, has criticized the government of Liberia for alleged mismanagement of the country resources. Appearing on OKLFN Wednesday, Freeman called on the government to invest in the country's local economy, urging reforms to strengthen local industry and infrastructure. Speaking on Liberia traffic management recent issue, the MPC political leader further criticized the government's handling of lesson play and drivers' lesson to foreign company as waste of money.
The approach those days was that, and which is the approach in places like Nigeria today, the Nigerians eat their own money. So let's take the power sector. The power sector, most of the players in the power sector in Nigeria are indigenous Nigerians. Let's take the mobile sector. Globalcom, which is owned by a Nigerian, one of the biggest mobile phone companies. In Liberia, if you just took the main street sinker, almost 80%, 85% of all of the buildings, tall buildings, are foreign. Fortunately, less than 5,000 Lebanese in the whole country. And that's the reason why I even reference the whole this whole license plate thing. You don't need any school for that. So if somebody argues and says it's an issue of money, the government of Liberia, through the Central Bank of Liberia, can provide a short-term line of credit where an LC can be open. India is the biggest importer of rice globally. We can do that and we can have a few Liberians and then we can transition, because the goal cannot be just to import rice. We transition to a local rice infrastructure. Why can't we start that? What makes it so difficult? But every time people give excuses. But then when you look at the quantity of money spent on running the government itself, you are like, but this money can be spent to do this. So what is troubling us is not that we don't have the money, but the whole concept of mismanagement. That's what's troubling. And I think the sooner we tackle that, the better. Because you see, we will not have long-term peace. We will not have long-term stability if we don't provide alternatives for our people long-term. If we do nothing about it, over time, this thing is going to affect the long-term stability of the country. That's why we need to sit down. Instead of the only thing our political leaders try to do, use connection to appoint this other person as assistant minister, a deputy minister, and that's the thing. Let's move away from that and try to create real structures long-term. Look, any school in license plate and driver's license print, all you need are the machine. All you need are the people that know how to operate those machines, the technical expertise. If the government of Liberia said, look, we're going to take 3 Liberians that supported the Unity Party and we're going to give them this driver's license arrangement, they will be printing driver's license. We take another 3 persons that are Liberians that support the Unity Party. Instead of giving you minister, deputy minister job, we're going to give you, create a company, we're going to provide the funding. That 40 million thing I heard, I wanted to slap, when I read the paper, I just want to slap the paper. 40 million from where? You don't need 40 million for anything. The machine to print that doesn't even cost $2 million.
He's the political leader of the opposition movement for progressive change, Simeon Freeman. They're speaking. The Student Unification Party of the University of Liberia has vowed to oppose the arrest of LINSU President James Washington and Secretary Darius Stewart in connection to 4 UL students' refusal to appear in court for criminal prosecution. It can be recalled Judge Roosevelt Woolley of Criminal Code A told newsmen about the possible arrest of the 2 student leaders due to their alleged refusal to surrender the 4 students of the SUP who were indicted by the grand jury of Montserrat County in connection to the March 18, 2025 incident at the Liberia Football Association. However, speaking to reporters at the UL main campus, SUP President Sylvester Wheeler said any attempt by the Liberian National Police will be met by serious resistance by the student community.
Suspended opposing Zoom Lion, Ghana Limited bid for Liberia waste management contract condemns the outsource of transport management to foreign companies. Calls the government, UL administration, and offer to address the differences and prioritize the interests of the students, and warn Braga police of any attempt to arrest LINSU President and Secretary General LINSU. Comrades and friends, Brothers and sisters from the downtrading marginalized community, distinguished patriots of the homeland, keke roller and street vendors, the post-worker who are businessmen ways can barely take them home. We bring you revolutionary greeting from the epicenter of the Vanguard Student Unification Party. So, comrades, as you may be aware, there is racing tale of disappointment in all quarter of Liberia over the shoplifting of corrupt Zoom Lion Ghana Limited for a 20 years waste management contract in the cities of Monrovia and Pineville. The Vanguard Student Unification Party, as the lone voice of the masses, strongly opposes and condemns Zoom Lion shoplifting for a bid that is expected to be transformed the country waste management sector for the future. Zoom Lion in the first place have a dark records of corruption and poor services delivery both in Ghana and Liberia. How possible this corrupt company got qualified to enter the ongoing bid to determine the fate of our country in waste management? There is complete contradiction, and we demand that Zoom Lion be removed from the building process with immediate effect.
He's Sub President Sylvester Widow there speaking. The Liberian prophetess Mary Johnson says she had a revelation where Liberia appeared very dark and surrounded by flame of fire. According to her, alarming, mysterious killings, disappearances, and political power struggles experienced across the country are not good signs. She added that these signs could serve as key factors that are leading the country in serious danger.
Thanks a lot, and thank you so much for coming. This is not my first time in a way. I've been having a lot of revelation for this nation, and we have been fasting, praying. Even during the war, we went to the First Baptist Church, and we have fast and prayer. We entered to the executive pavilion way back during the war, and God was able to help this nation. So I've been in the service of God for 37 years almost. And it's not my first time praying for the nation, but I want the whole nation to be a part of the fast and prayers, which will be on next week, Wednesday, with you for 3 days. I'm asking every one of you people to take part. We need to pray for this nation. I had a revelation where I saw the country, the whole country black dark. The second one, I saw the whole place was on fire. The country was on fire. Entire country was on fire. But before this happened, I saw that they sat ambush in this nation. And when I know the poor started shooting, then one of the men came to me, chasing me, said, when they tell you to go and say this, you don't say it. Why you never told the poor this news? They seen I about to happen. And you see why I wish. So I'm telling my fellow Liberians, I want you to join me in prayers. I want us to pray for this nation. This nation need prayer. This nation need your attention. Fast and prayer breaks yokes. That God Almighty will have mercy upon us. We need prayers. Just the other day again, last night in my living room, I saw everybody leaving their homes and just getting out of their home. And I started talking, I said, oh, we didn't lock the door. I started telling my children. And we all started running over all our homes. God speak by his word. My message is to ask the whole nation to go through this fast. And I'm asking the leader of this nation also. Yeah, then I said, we've been doing this before. It's not my first time. And what we did in this country, and I want us to continue, is the prayer and the fast and prayer, asking the nation, the people of this nation, that they should join the fast and pray for the 3 days, which will be next week, Wednesday, so that we all will fast and pray and ask God for mercy.
She's prophetess Mary Johnson there speaking. Well, folks, if you just joining us, a reminder of the time half past the hour. You are listening to King's News Bureau, the 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. Stories we follow in this afternoon. The Office of the Ombudsman recommends dismissal of LPRC Managing Director NPA Board Chairman Luther Tape and 24 others for violating multiple provisions of the National Code of Conduct. Liberia National Police arrest University of Liberia Graduate School Coordinator Fude Emery Johnson on reported false armed robbery claims at EcoBank headquarters. Criminal Code A says Thursday to hear 6 Capitol building arson suspect released request from Monrovia Central Precinct. And away from Liberia, Ghana's ministers of defense and environment have died in a military helicopter crash in the central Ashanti region, along with 6 other people, the government spokesperson says. Uganda has said it will accept up to 250 migrants from the U.S. in a deal agreed with President Donald Trump's administration. We'll take another break and we'll come back. We continue with more voices. Former Representative Kennedy of Montserrat County District Assistant Achi Sano has strongly criticized Boakai-led government for what he termed as persistent bad governance and corrupt practices. Speaking in an interview Wednesday, Sano said he is frustrated with the state of governance, frowning at what he described as perpetual corruption under the Unity Party Alliance government. According to him, to ensure real change itself in Liberia, Liberians, beginning with government officials, must reject corruption and the idea that votes must be bought to gain political power.
When the drug law is passed, non-bailable, those who bring in drugs in this country, after they are found guilty, their property should be confiscated and be utilized on those who are consuming the victim of consumption of the drugs. And that same law will pass and whatnot. But here is it. None that drugs cannot be fought. Drugs can be fought. But people in the same system who are trying to fight drugs, they are still compromising the issue. And that is why it is prudent that corruption should be non-bailable as well. However, it's still better than any other previous administration, because this is the only government that has seen drugs dealer now in jail being sentenced for 20 years. I still to be corrected. Even a current representative of Nima County's son is being sentenced. Will stay control. Even though we go to elections, sometimes you let you look at it different, because for me, I told people that as long as I'm fighting corruption, I can create an avenue to corrupt the system. I will not truck, I will not buy vote, I will not pay money to a party to get the seat. I will be the architect of change. If I say I want to be architect of this policy of change, I should not be the one to sponsor it. And the electors here, you either buy a party seat that is popular, you truck, or you purchase your vote. Then it means that rather than fighting against corruption, I'm supporting corruption in my interest. So I can do that. So let me be the victim of my own policy that I'm fighting against. So I'm a victim of patriotism. What I fight for change in my country is hurts my survivability. But that's the thing to stop the struggle. And when he became president, he now robbed his people. So that's a legacy. So when you see proposing a drug law and a pass, even though we have not reached there, also propose personally a petroleum regulatory authority that is now on with my colleague, is now on 18th Street. Even though people don't pay, people will stay for these things. Also propose that.
He's former representative candidate of Montserrat County District Assistant Achi Sano there speaking. A disadvantaged youth identified as John Nangbe says he is frustrated about huge amounts of money he normally spends on illegal drugs on a monthly basis. According to him, he spent nearly 30,000 Liberian dollars monthly on kush, tramadol, and cocaine, something he said he'd been doing for several years without positive impact on his life. He however called on the government to put in stringent measures that would eradicate access to illegal drugs to save the thousands of Liberians being affected daily.
Empower them to become trained in those areas also and come back and done with it. So that's what the COD came about. So that the level of the CPS and everywhere that we are now, we are the professionals to lead different trainings with different NGOs and other donor community in the area of the open stage, methodology, mediation, and Google handling and the rest of it. And as part of that, I'm just being part of that. I'm being on open space methodology for the network. So once the network have issue of partners coordinator, so when between open space and the rest of mediation.
Gian Nangbe there speaking. And away from Liberia, Ghana's ministers of defense and environment have died in a military helicopter crash in the central Ashanti region, along with 6 other people, the government spokesperson says. Defense Minister Edward Omani Bauman, and Environment Science and Technology Minister Ibrahim Motala Mohammed 50 were killed in the crash, which Chief of Staff Julius Debra described as a national tragedy. Earlier, the Ghana Armed Forces said the aircraft, which was carrying 3 crew and 5 passengers, had gone off the radar. He had taken off from the capital Accra at 9:12 local time and was heading to a town of Obusi for an event to tackle illegal mining. Uganda has said it will accept up to 250 migrants from the U.S. in a deal agreed with President Donald Trump's administration. Under the scheme, the deportees will be given workforce training, health care, and accommodation to jumpstart their lives in Uganda, government spokesperson Yolandi Mokolo confirmed to the BBC. A condition of the agreement was that Uganda will have the ability to approve each individual proposed for resettlement, she added. The White House has not commented on the deal directly, but told the BBC it was constantly tackling or taking the countries willing to assist U.S. in removing the illegal aliens that ex-President Joe Biden had allowed to infiltrate the U.S. Well, on that note, this is how I would like to go home this afternoon on this edition of the program King's Newsroom, the 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. But just before we go home this afternoon, let's remind you of stories we've been following. The Office of the Ombudsman recommends dismissal of LPRC Managing Director and PA Board Chairman Luther Tape and 24 others for violating multiple provisions of the National Code of Conduct. Liberia National Police arrests University of Liberia Graduate School Coordinator Foley Emery Johnson on reported false armed robbery claims at Echo Bank headquarters. Criminal Code A says firstly to hear 6 Capitol building as a suspect release request from Monrovia Central Prison. And away from Liberia, Ghana's ministers of defense and environment have died in a military helicopter crash in the central Ashanti region, along with 6 other people, a government spokesperson says. Uganda said it would accept up to 250 migrants from the U.S. in a deal agreed with President Donald Trump's administration. These are stories we follow here this afternoon on King's Newsroom. Veronica Moba was here with the news bulletin, while Sherman Diaz sat Akonchus and coordinated the sounds. I would like to say many thanks to all of our reporters, correspondents, news editors who helped in making this package our sources. Good afternoon. My name is Newton Tugba.